Meghan Markle snubbed from high-stakes royal meeting. What really happened at Sandringham? The doors at Sandringham may have closed quietly that day, but what happened inside still sends shockwaves years later. This wasn't just another royal discussion, another staged moment for cameras. This was a high-stakes, emotional reckoning, a moment where the future of the monarchy and the fate of one of its most talked-about couples were on the line. And yet the woman at the heart of it all, Meghan Markle, wasn't in the room, not in person, not even on the phone. That one detail changes the entire story. 6 years on, the revelation that Meghan was excluded over fears about confidentiality still feels explosive. It instantly raises questions about trust, power, and control within the royal family. This wasn't just tradition clashing with modern life. It felt like a real-life drama unfolding in front of the world. Picture this: a young mother in Canada, a baby at home, a husband flying back alone to face the weight of generations, and senior royals gathered under one roof making decisions that would change history. It's not just gossip, it's about belonging, exclusion, and the emotional cost of life inside the world's most famous family. The meeting happened in January 2020, just days after Harry and Meghan announced they were stepping back from royal duties. The Queen summoned Prince Charles, Prince William, and Prince Harry to Sandringham. No aides, no crowds, just 4 people carrying the weight of centuries on their shoulders. Meghan stayed in Canada with baby Archie and her mum, Doria Ragland. Officially, the palace said it wasn't necessary for her to join, even by phone. But sources later revealed a harsher truth. There were fears they couldn't control who else might be listening if she dialed in. The implication: trust had broken down so badly that even a phone call was considered too risky. That detail alone changes the story. This wasn't just logistics. It was a window into fractured relationships, a family divided at its core. Meghan later opened up in the couple's documentary about the pain of being left out, how it felt to have people decide the future of her life without her being there. Her words hit hard because they were real, raw, and relatable. She wasn't speaking as a duchess, but as a wife and mother sidelined at a critical moment. Harry too revealed he felt the meeting was carefully orchestrated to exclude Meghan. That sense of strategy, of exclusion, adds another layer. It shows that behind the palace walls, disagreements weren't just arguments, they were calculated moves, deliberate emotional distance, and a deep breakdown in trust. Even before anyone spoke, the atmosphere was heavy. Prince Philip, 98 at the time, chose not to attend and reportedly left before Harry arrived. Some say it was symbolic, a man who had always believed in all or nothing royal duty, making a silent statement. His absence added another layer of tension to an already delicate situation. Inside the meeting, the late Queen issued a public statement striking a tone of calm and unity. She spoke of love, understanding, and support for Harry and Meghan's wish to create a more independent life. On paper, it sounded reassuring, but behind that polished message was a family struggling to adapt to modern reality, where personal boundaries, tradition, and expectations collide. The resulting agreement allowed the Sussexes a transition between the UK and Canada and confirmed they would no longer rely on public funds. Officially, it was a mutual understanding. But the emotional scars told a far more complicated story. Every detail has been dissected, every absence analysed, and the fact that Meghan wasn't allowed even to dial in remains one of the most discussed aspects of the saga. What makes this story so gripping isn't just the titles or protocols, it's the human element, the pain of being talked about instead of talked to, the fear of being misunderstood, the sting of exclusion. Anyone can relate to that feeling, which is why the Sandringham summit continues to fascinate years later. Meghan's reaction, Harry's sense of betrayal, and the palace's strict confidentiality rules collide into a narrative that feels like a gripping drama. And yet it's real people making life-altering decisions under intense pressure. Every anniversary of the summit brings the story back into focus, not because people crave drama, but because they're still trying to understand how it all went so wrong. Was Meghan's exclusion a protective measure for the monarchy, or a symbol of deeper mistrust? Did it push the relationship further apart, or was the rift already inevitable? These questions keep audiences watching, debating, and analysing even years later. The story also shows the stark contrast between how the monarchy presents itself and how it actually works behind closed doors. Publicly, there's unity, continuity, and tradition. Privately, Decisions are made in small rooms, voices excluded based on circumstance, and loyalty questioned at every turn. Meghan's experience resonates with anyone who's ever been sidelined in family at work, or socially it turns a royal headline into a universal story about power, dignity, and emotional cost. Harry speaking out added fuel. It became about love, loyalty, and whether the institution could accommodate someone challenging centuries-old norms. 6 years later, the impact is undeniable. The Sussexes built a new life in the U.S., launched projects, gave interviews, and continued telling their story. The royal family has had to manage public opinion scrutiny and shifting perceptions. Almost every new report on tensions, reconciliations, or behind-the-scenes drama can be traced back to that pivotal Sandringham meeting. The summit became a turning point the moment the fairy tale ended, and a far more complex, emotionally charged reality began. And that's why it refuses to fade. It's layered, controversial, and deeply human, with heroes, critics, sympathy, skepticism, tradition, and rebellion all tangled together. Every retelling adds a new detail, a fresh perspective. A reason to keep watching. Something as simple as excluding someone from a meeting had lasting consequences, showing how private choices behind closed doors can reshape history. But there's more to unpack beyond the meeting itself. Consider the ripple effect. Meghan's absence wasn't just a symbolic snub, it affected Harry too. He was forced to navigate the family's expectations alone. To act as the bridge between Meghan and the institution, he was still deeply loyal to that pressure. Combined with years of media scrutiny, public speculation, and personal grief, created a perfect storm. Meanwhile, Meghan's supporters saw the exclusion as a signal of a system that couldn't accept change, that resisted someone who challenged centuries of tradition. Critics, on the other hand, argued that she and Harry made their choices and had to live with the consequences. Either way, the story tapped into a broader conversation about inclusion, respect, and fairness, not just in the monarchy, but in society at large. Even the timing of the summit added fuel to the fire, coming so soon after the announcement of the couple stepping back. It was a test not just of their relationship with the royal family, but of the institution itself. Could the monarchy adapt? Could Harry and Meghan find a new role that balanced independence with responsibility? The stakes couldn't have been higher. And let's not forget the human side of all this. Meghan was thousands of miles away, isolated, and aware that major decisions about her life were being made without her input. Harry, separated from his wife and child, had to advocate for them both, while under immense scrutiny. Behind the polished public statements and media spin, these were very real emotions: frustration, fear, sadness, and betrayal, playing out under a microscope. The summit also revealed the contrast between public perception and private reality. The monarchy presents itself as a picture of unity and continuity, but moments like Sandringham show the cracks beneath the surface. Decisions are made in hushed tones, voices are silenced, and loyalty is constantly tested. For millions watching around the world, it was a rare glimpse into the human complexity of the royal family. Fast forward 6 years, and the impact is still clear. The Sussexes have rebuilt their lives, pursuing projects, charitable work, and media ventures. On their own terms, the royal family continues to navigate public opinion, criticism, and legacy concerns. And every news story, interview, or documentary related to Harry and Meghan can trace its roots back to that pivotal Sandringham summit. The Sandringham summit wasn't just a meeting, it was a turning point, a moment that changed the trajectory of a family, an institution, and a narrative that captivated the world. It reminds us that the smallest decisions, who sits in a room, who is excluded, who gets a voice, can have monumental consequences. Ultimately, the story of Meghan's exclusion is about more than titles, protocol, or royal etiquette. It's about trust, love, loyalty, and the struggle to reconcile tradition with the modern world. It's about a family under pressure, and a woman finding her voice in the face of exclusion. And above all, it's a story that continues to resonate, because it is, at its core, deeply human. The Sandringham summit stands as a defining chapter in modern royal history, not just for what happened, but for what it revealed. Who was there, who wasn't, what was said, and what it all symbolised. A family divided, an institution tested, a woman unheard, a husband torn between duty and love. These are the moments that transform headlines into stories we remember, stories that continue to fascinate, provoke discussion, and capture our imagination years later, and so as the years go by. The Sandringham Summit remains a lens through which we view the evolving story of the Sussexes and the royal family, a reminder that behind the pomp and ceremony real people are living, struggling, and trying to make sense of it all.